Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th.
We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been watching and or reading. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth. Sorry, Zucchini just decided to saunter past. This week we're talking a found footage franchise, a silly old bear, a young adult romance, Bones, and a Bound reunion. God, ew.
I cannot wait to talk about Chucky this week because
literally I was sitting here just like I won't. It was incredibly distracting for what I was trying to do while I was watching it. I'll just preface it with that, and then we'll talk about it more specifically later. But boy, oh boy, was my brain frazzled.
Right off the top, though, we have there's a lot of gayness going on right now.
2023 is so gay. It's incredible.
It's incredible because we had Skinamarink come out, and then this week we had Swallowed, and then as of the drop of this episode, you can watch The Outwaters on Screenbox, or you can rent it on or buy it on VOD.
Yep.
And then I think Winnie the Pooh.
And Winnie the Pooh is out in theaters, and Winnie the Pooh's director is gay, so all of the really good micro-budget weird horror of this year is just gay as hell. That's really cool. And actually, I'm talking about this later, but HUESERA is also out as of this, and that is queer as fuck, too. So, and it's directed by a queer punk. It's just so gay. It's so good. 2023 delivering us.
Starting off strong.
Starting off very strong.
But also starting off strong, I just want to throw it out here because I don't know if everyone else is as committed to MILF Manor as I am, but at this point, I just want to drop some little nuggets of what happened last week.
Please.
And so,
MILF
Mary Beth already
Manor
knows this
Corner.
moment. We need a jingle. Oh my God, can you imagine?
To the Manor Minute.
Yes, a recurring segment. So I already sent this text to Mary Beth, so she knows what I'm gonna say. But back in episode 2, when they had like the secret board, and one of the secrets on the board that one of the men, whose name is Jimmy, wrote was he got pink eye eating ass. And this episode, or last week's episode,
how dirty was that ass?
Girl,
I can't even.
I don't. I have questions that I don't necessarily want the answers to.
We don't have to get into the
questions.
logistics of that, but it's horrific. The gist of it. Bad.
Yes. And so this week, I swear to God, I think the producers were like, what, 4 episodes in, I think, by this time. And I think the producers are like, Jesus Christ, none of these people are hooking up. And they're like, we have to do something fast. And so they cut a family from it that was like scored the lowest on like the chemistry level. And then they decided to do speed dating was the challenge. And so the women all had to have speed dates with all the boys, not their own, thankfully.
I fucking hope not. Jesus Christ.
Prefer to ask chemistry between whom? The young men and the MILFs. No one is doing anything. No one is making moves. And when they do make moves, it's very weird and uncomfortable and nothing is going on. None of the hanky-panky is happening that I think the show wanted to happen. And so this week they had speed dating, and one of the women is very sexually aggressive. And the question that she keeps asking... Yes, Katie, this is all weird and uncomfortable. But one of the women who she keeps asking all of the men, would you pull a Jimmy? Meaning, would you eat her ass? And so it becomes like this refrain. She keeps asking him, would you pull a Jimmy? Would you pull a Jimmy? And so that has become like something that me and my roommate say all the time now. It's like, don't pull a Jimmy or go pull a Jimmy. And this show is bad, but I can't stop watching. So there's a MILF Corner for this week.
Cool. I have something completely different, and I have no idea how to transition from that to what I'm about to say. I'm so sorry. I don't have one. But
I don't know if there's any good way to transition.
I guess like
manor.
we're leaving the manor and going over to the morgue from Phantasm, because I showed Steve Phantasm.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was like, oh shit, you watched it? Like, I really wanted to watch it. I was like, well, I love the movie, so I would of course like love to watch it with you. So we had our Valentine's Day dinner was Korean barbecue at the new Korean barbecue place down the street, and then watching getting violently high, and then watching Phantasm. Iconic Valentine's Day, 10 out of 10, obsessed.
Would not change
a thing. He was, I said, I am just warning you. Nothing makes any sense. When I tell you that you will have more questions than answers, I mean this deeply. Think about when you watch Suspiria. That's this experience, kind of. And he was like, okay. And at the end, he was like, you were so right. What the fuck is happening in this movie? I was like, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And, he didn't like it as much as I did, but he enjoyed it, but he was like, not a lot happens. I'm like, yeah, it's nightmare logic. And he's like, I do love the nightmare logic. So yes, it was an incredible experience to show it to him. He was just like,
it's one of those movies that I enjoyed while watching, but then I had such a great time discussing it.
Yeah.
That like my appreciation for it grew. Mm-hmm. When we talked to Ryuhei Kitamura.
Well, and it was just like so funny because I don't even think we talked about this in that episode where they like rip off Dune in like several parts when he puts his hand in the box, and it's like, it's exactly Dune, and it's just, and Steve was like, is this just a Dune remake? I'm like, so he kept making Dune jokes. It's the Gamja bar. But yeah, so it was a good time though. It was very fun. Every couple of minutes, he was like, "What the fuck? Who is that?" He's like, I was like, "You'll never see that person again, and they will never explain." And he was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yep, like the old lady, the psychic old lady, never again. You'll never see her again. She comes up once and never again." So it was a good time. Just wanted to share that with the group because it was an incredible experience.
Awesome.
But so let's get into the other things we've watched. I want to hear about found footage. I saw you write this down. I got very excited. I now need to know. Talk to me.
I'm wondering if guests are like surprised that it's me that's coming with the found footage this week.
I sure am.
Well, okay, so I have to go through my backlog, and one of the recommendations was I have all 4 of the Rec movies.
Oh, fuck yeah. I haven't seen any of the other ones. I've only seen the first one.
So I love the first one. We talked with Rob Savage about it. Iconic film. Great. Go listen to that episode if you want to hear us wax poetic or not so poetic. I don't know. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. About that movie. Dash Cam. Okay, so then, and I believe I might have talked about Rec 2 at some point in this podcast.
It feels very familiar.
Maybe the episode with Rob. I can't remember. But this is a movie that I think I've seen like 4 times, and I never think that I've seen it until I start watching it, and little bits of it go, oh yeah, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And that movie does something interesting where it starts immediately where the first one ended, and it has like a SWAT team-esque thing descending on the apartment building to go do stuff. And it's following them for a bit, and one of the like medical operators is actually a priest, and there's a lot of like religious horror stuff that kind of was set up from the end of the first one, and the undead now talk.
Interesting.
He can command them to talk and holds a cross and stops them and all this kind of stuff. And then halfway through the movie, it flips to perspective to a bunch of teenagers that end up getting inside the building, and it's following them, and they eventually meet up with the military, and then it's trying to escape the place again. And it has a bizarre twist at the very end that I'm not going to spoil in case people want to watch it. And so then I didn't watch Rec 3 because I'd heard that it wasn't good, and I heard that it didn't really have much to do with the side plot. I would disagree with that because by the fourth one, I guess a surviving character the third one is brought in. But I think that if you watch Rec 2, and Rec 4 Apocalypse together, it's almost like one whole long movie. Except Rec 4 decides, who needs found footage? We're just gotta film it traditionally. And I didn't like it.
No. I mean,
it's set on a boat.
That's like half the reason, like most of the reason why Rec works is it uses found footage so well, and like you're in the shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just feels like a traditional zombie movie once we get to the fourth one. But it has like the reporter from the first one and a little bit of the second one showing up, and she's on a boat. She doesn't know why she's there, and some of the cops are there that had got it's a whole thing. And it just unfolds on the ship. Okay. It's a little weird. Okay. I didn't really care for it a whole lot. Some things were kind of fun, but overall I was like, this is not the way to end this franchise. So unfortunately it kind of ended on a sour note for me. But Rec 1 and Rec 2. Rec 1 is iconic. Rec 2 is fun. Have not seen Rec 3. And Rec 4 was just meh. Okay. For me.
Cool. But I definitely need to watch the other ones. That has been on the list.
I would really recommend Rec 2.
Cool.
I think it does some fun things with expectations.
Hell yeah. Okay, cool. I love a good twist. A twist.
Yeah. Silly Old Bear?
So I saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey in theaters yesterday. Wow. What an experience it was. So I went by myself because it was like playing on a Wednesday. It was only playing on Wednesday or Thursday. And I was like, well, there's just no good day to go because it's the middle of the fucking week. Oh no, it was only going on Wednesday. Never mind. It wasn't. I can't remember. Whatever. And there was like half the theater was full, I was like, I thought there'd be more people there. But again, it's a fucking Wednesday. Like, I don't know. It's really weird timing. But someone was there dressed up as Winnie the Pooh. Oh. Like a onesie. It was so funny. Wow. Like the vibes were hysterical going in there. Like it was just like you could tell everyone was just ready for something fucking nuts. And nuts it was. And like surprisingly better than I expected it to be. Expectations were not high, obviously, and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be high because it is what it is. A Winnie the Pooh horror movie, but it is like incredibly violent. Like really, like at one point, Winnie the Pooh takes Eeyore, like a dead Eeyore's tail with a nail at the end of it, and is fucking flogging Christopher Robin, and like you're watching his back split open from like the whipping.
What the fuck?
Like it is a wild experience because I think it is like the perfect embodiment of camp because it's taking itself so seriously and like thinks that it is making something that is like actually a scary movie, and it just becomes a beautiful piece of camp where you're just like, this is insane. Like, you're doing like these like, at one point like Pooh will go like this, huh? And the camera will like zoom in and there'll be a music sting. Like, it's so funny.
Oh my god.
It is so funny in what it is. And like there are the editing is bizarre because sometimes it feels like it knows it's having fun and other times it's just like, doesn't seem to know what it is. And it tries also to be like a trauma movie in a way that I wasn't expecting and that didn't need to be. And at one point, Winnie the Pooh rips off a girl's shirt and her tits are just out while her head gets stuffed into a wood chipper. So, like, it's, like, insane. Like, it's fucking insane. It's so weird. Like, it just makes no sense. Like, an iconic delivery. Something's wrong with Piglet. Something's wrong with Piglet. He killed my wife. Like, just incredible things that are done with so much like sincerity that it becomes a camp, like actual camp.
Yeah.
It is exactly what you think it is, but I had a lot of fun. Some of the kills are really good. Like, I am actually pretty impressed with the amount of kills that they accomplish. I just had fun. It's like a stupid good time.
As you're talking about it, it reminds me of those movies from like the 90s that you would find when you go to Blockbuster, and it's like just like these direct to VHS movies like Ginger Dead Man or like Jack Frost or some of those types of movies that are just a little scudsy, a little weird, not maybe the best made movie, but there's some kind of, you get people together, you imbibe your favorite thing, and you just have a fun time, is what it sounds like.
It's like, I wrote in my review that it's like reminiscent of like early aughts torture porn and like how it approaches violence, which is really fascinating. I was like, this feels like a fucking like I Spit on Your Grave remake, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like not that good, but like, you know, like that kind of gritty, weird violence, but it's done by a guy in a Winnie the Pooh mask. I do have to say though, then something that really bothered me is like the lighting, and I usually am not one to like bitch about this stuff. The lighting for half the movie, you can't see anything. Like,
oh really? Like,
especially at the end, and it's like, on one hand, it looks like they're trying to hide the budget with like, and like I get it, but on the other hand, I was like, I feel like maybe you could have just inched a light a little bit closer to these three people having a conversation. Like, I don't know. So again, like, I say this knowing it is a micro-budget movie that absolutely no one expected to be in theaters. Like, it is a really cool thing. It's got a weirdly similar trajectory to Skinamarink. Dread Central found it. Like, I will toot our horn with this. Like, we reported on it first because we fucking were like, no, what? Like, what is this? This is insane. Reported on it. And it went fucking viral, and then now it's here. And, like, I'm not trying to take all the credit, but, like, it's cool to see micro-budget horror get that kind of attention nowadays. Like, and like, now things are going into theaters again. It's weird. Like, it's just super weird that, like, these so micro-budget, weird-ass movies, like you said, this would be, like, a direct-to-video, like, blockbuster release. And it was meant to be like that. Like, one of those streaming movies that, like, you hear about as a joke, but nothing else comes of it. And now they're in theaters. Like, that's the kind of shit that's playing in theaters. And it's like, it's kind of cool.
Nowhere near me.
Really? That's annoying.
Nowhere near me. It and the Outwaters, nowhere near me. Because I would have killed to see the Outwaters in a theater.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot around here either, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
Perprina was asking if The Darkness is as bad as AVP Requiem. I have actually never seen
I haven't
AVP
seen that
Requiem
one either.
But I do know that it is That movie was dark as fuck.
Think like the Game of Thrones finale that everyone bitched about, like that level of like, what the fuck is the lighting here? But here it's more excusable because it's like a $10,000, like $50,000 movie. So yeah, I mean, like, if you want to have a good time and just laugh and like get really high and watch something ridiculous and like get to see some really cool kills and some pretty interesting practical effects and just like giggle, yeah. Friend of the show, Andrew Scott Bell, did the score. It's really, like, weirdly good for a movie like this, which kind of makes me laugh. And, like, that's not a bad thing. It's just, like, wild. So, yeah. I better, literally so much better than expected. So, you know what? It's a win. Whatever. All of the bad reviews just, like, don't have a sense of humor, I think. Sorry.
Gauntlet thrown.
It's not... I don't know, man. Like, what the fuck did you expect going into that, you know? Like, I gave it 2.5 stars. It was like a rave review, but it was like, this movie's fucking fun. Just go see it. Why not? People who are like, oh, this is trash. I'm like, of course it's trash.
What did you expect?
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey? You didn't think... Yes, the pinnacle of art.
Didn't it Hereditary? I now want like a Hereditary movie with like...
It's just... Ugh. Anyway, yeah. If you want just good dumb fun and it was playing near you, I recommend. It's worth it, I think. Just young adult romance. Let's just jump into it, because once again, it's just, there's not much I can do there.
So I resisted reading this for the longest time because it looked too precious for words and it seemed a little ridiculous.
Okay.
And I'm like, but there's a movie version of it coming out later this year from Amazon, and I was like, it was like one of the best reviewed books from I think 2019 when it came out. It was like best book of the year for a variety of places, and I was like, okay, I will finally get this book, and it's red, white, and royal blue. And it is the story of Alex Claremont Diaz, who is the president's son. And he has this, it's basically a rival to lovers story. And he has a rival in the Prince of Wales, Henry, who he thinks is an utter dick and he hates. And at like a party in the UK, there's another meet cute kind of between them, where Alex ends up falling into a cake and knocking over a $50,000 cake and trashing it. And it becomes like this international problem between them. And so then the UK and the White House are like, we have to manufacture a friendship between them so that people don't think that this is like...
What?
It's
what
ridiculous.
Are you saying to me right now?
It's ridiculous.
That sounds like the most fucking like early 2000s rom-com shit of my life, and I love it. But it sounds like an Amanda Bynes movie. Like, is get her on speed dial? Obviously, it's men, but anyway.
And so then they basically have established these play dates between the two of them. So they're basically, so they're like photoshopped around or like, you know, photographs around, and they'll show up in people and all this stuff as they're really good friends. And of course, they fall in love.
No.
And of course,
really?
they have to keep it quiet because America is homophobic. The UK is homophobic. And so we can't have the two royals of their respective countries
can't be queer
doing the nasty. And so they have to like keep it secret. And you know how this is going to play out. You know that eventually it's going to get leaked. You know that there's going to be all this stuff happening. You know that they're going to break up, and it follows all those little tropey things. But it's really cute. It's really well written for the most part. I do think it doesn't really know when to end. There's a lot of like the third act of the book just keeps going and going. I'm like,
it's YA, right? So there's no sex.
Well, so here's the thing. I would say this is like a step in between YA and adult literature.
Okay.
Because there's a copious amounts of the word fuck. There is sex up to a point where they don't describe, like, it's not eroticism. So they don't necessarily describe what's happening. These are people.
Sorry.
It's no MILF manner. No one is pulling a Jimmy here.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God.
But they're in their 20s, so it's like they're a little bit.
Okay, so it's like adult. They're adults. They're not teenagers. Yeah. Okay.
But it's like when it gets to the actual act of like sexy time, there's a stopping point where they go a little bit.
It's like a fade out, basically.
And then they like don't explain anything that's like going on. They just sort of talk in euphemisms, it seems like. So it's almost like a stepping stone, I would say, between like teen, like Love Victor type stuff and like some of the more risque adult romances I've read. A little bit in between, but it's cute. I'm actually really looking forward to the movie because I think the movie will streamline a whole lot of it and it will be a little bit better. But it was good. It's entertaining. It was cute.
Okay. I love that. Cool.
Me too. Bones.
I finally watched HUESERA, The Bone Woman.
Yeah.
I watched it a couple weeks ago, but I didn't want to bring it up till closer to release. But I know that you've seen it. And I love it so much. It's so gay. And it's so queer. And it's so punk. And it's really good. And I know it's coming out. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but if you haven't seen it around, it's about a woman who is pregnant. Like, it kind of follows her follows her as she's trying to get pregnant to when she gets pregnant to when she has the baby, of like her experience of being a first-time mother and how, you know, she thinks it's what she wants. She thinks she has like the perfect husband, blah blah blah. But it's like the more time we spend with her as a character, the more we realize that like she is not necessarily the most like nurturing or motherly person, and this is kind of her trying to fit into a role and maybe fit into a family that is very traditional, and she is trying to conform to life in a way that will make her like more accepted by her family and more kind of understood. But there are some pretty horrible consequences of trying to shove yourself into a box that you really don't belong in. It's really fucking good the way it handles that, and the way that it, like, there's a sex scene, like a pregnant sex scene, which is like the hottest shit ever. Like, I'm not saying details, but like, we never see like pregnancy and sex as more than like a haha, like, ew, gross, it's a baby. Mm-hmm. So
or like a fetish thing.
Yeah, so like getting pregnant sex, and there's just the way motherhood is portrayed here is like in a way that I don't think we've ever seen in horror, and it's just really important and very good, and I think everyone needs to see it.
I think a lot of straight people are talking about this movie, which frustrates me because like everyone keeps talking about how this is like a pregnancy horror, and I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's more about the idea of like someone who is queer trying to be forced into a heteronormative relationship, and that's where like the horror comes from, not being authentic to yourself and giving up what makes you in order to be presentable and in order to, you know, have that kind of picture perfect heteronormative life that everyone seems to think that everyone wants. And I love what it does with that, and I love this movie so much. Yeah. I'm so glad you saw it finally.
Yeah, it's not fair that there are so many movies that are already contending for like my favorite of the year, and it's only fucking February. Like, that's
I know
unfair, and I mean that in a good way. But like, all of the things I loved last year finally came out this year, so it's like, shit, like but like it's just all the good shit's coming out. So yeah, I know a lot of people are excited, but like we said at the beginning, like it's queer directed. Like a lot of the other like kind of lower budget horror movies coming out. So please support that one too. And it's by a queer woman of color.
Yes.
Like, no shade to our friends, but all the other movies are by white gay guys. And so this is a queer woman of color, which is awesome. And it just deserves way more attention. I mean, it's getting a lot. It is okay. It's getting a lot right now. I think it's got like a decent actual marketing budget for a movie of its size. So that's really cool to see, because this is the kind of movie that I feel like a lot of like might fall under the radar, but XYZ is doing a really good job about trying to get the word out.
XYZ, man, they're putting out good stuff.
Obsessed. Like, XYZ really is like getting the good shit. So, you know.
A lot of the queer shit too.
Yes. They are a really good home for queer horror. I love that. Because they did Hypochondriac last year. So yeah, but that is HUESERA, Bone Woman, out now on VOD and digital. So please check it out.
Highly recommend
it. And then like just like swinging in another direct. Well, you know, like kind of queer. No, you know what? There are similarities, sexy queerness in these two new episodes of Chucky, one of which had me sweating. So these are episodes 5 and 6. 3 and 4. I was like, I knew I was going to say the wrong one. I knew I was. I did watch
3 and 4 of
Chucky. And they're weird. 6 is not 6. What the fuck? 4 especially. Jesus. Because in 3 we're focused on like brainwashing Chucky, I guess, and like in a nutshell. And then in
doing basically Clockwork Oranging him.
And then 4 is like, I don't even know, but it's all about Glenn, Glenda, Jennifer Tilly. It's a Bound reunion. Meg Tilly shows up. And Sutton from Real Housewives shows up. So like, it was a treat. Both of these were a treat. Also because Ethel Cain plays in one of the.
I've been waiting for you to like get to that moment.
I was like, I'm sorry. Is that Ethel Cain playing in Chucky season 2? No fucking way. It was.
And I couldn't remember which ones I had seen. And I thought I had just seen the first 2, but I have seen the third one.
Oh, okay.
And that is where I ended up stopping. Because like I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. I remember this episode when I started watching it again. But it's this episode, I feel like almost jumps the shark a little bit in some ways, because we have like muscle bodybuilder
like,
Chucky.
These 2 episodes are truly just like, you might be losing me like a teeny bit. Like it was like, and it's not that they weren't great, but like what is muscle Chucky? I like don't they brainwashed Chucky, kind of, and then Muscle Chucky shows up and he's ripped, and I was where are
and he has a deep Chucky
are
voice.
All these dolls coming from? I don't understand. Why are there so many?
Punches the heart out of one of the kids.
Oh my god. Punch it, like the little shit who I thought was going to be more of a problem just gets his heart punched out immediately. I was like, this show, I love it. And just is immediately just like, no, you thought this kid was going to be a problem? Fuck that.
That was one of the notes I took, was that what I love about this show is how it swerves. And so Trevor's set up to be kind of the worst, and he's set up to be sort of like the human villain of the show. And an episode later, his heart is fucking punched out. His death does complicate things, but his heart is punched out and he's dead.
He's dead. There's an incredible shot where
I never skip arm day.
Steve was walking by when I was watching that, and I said that quote to him. He's like, no one skips arm day. I'm like, shut up, it's Chucky. Shut up. But there's a shot, I think, of when Jake is like gonna stab Chucky's eye. It's like Chucky's eye, and there's a reflection of Jake on the knife. And I'm like, this show, like the whole franchise plays really well with like just looking really cool. Like it always is playing with like a cinematography in such an interesting way. And it's always like it's almost like a surprise, because it's not all of the time. So when it has these moments, it's like really, it's a nice little another like treat of watching it. It's just kind of watching them play with form a little bit, and especially and like speaking of playing with fucking form, like Episode 4 starts off with Chucky hosting a game show, like hosting a shock show, and like
Yeah.
it's put in acts, like it's like a typical, it's like a Hollywood. It's just a weird episode. It's a very weird episode that I was like, interesting. Not
They split it
sure.
into the acts. They give title cards for, it's a Jennifer Tilly mystery. Act 1, Glenda poses an incommodious question. Like, it goes through like all these different act breaks of like a TV show act, because there's like six acts in it. 6 acts in it. My gosh, say that 6 times fast. And it's basically a murder mystery set at Jennifer Tilly's mansion, starring Jennifer Tilly, Glenn and Glenda, Joey Panta.
Oh yeah.
I always think Pantaloons. Joni Panta.
Nope. I can't say it.
Nope. Gina Gershon. That Real Housewives person that I had to look up. I was like, who is this person?
Sutton.
And it's very weird. I think it's probably the weakest episode, even though like it feels like it's giving me everything I want.
I think the problem is it's too fan servicey. I think that what has really done this series so good is that it doesn't up until this point really lean into fan service. And I think what's weird is like the fan service that this is leaning into. Like, I understand because like it is Jennifer Tilly, and like we're putting, you know, her in her most iconic role from Bound, but like it feels a little bit like a stretch, and that sounds so fucked up to say, to watch like a Bound reunion with like Gina Gershon putting her hands up her dress, and I'm just like, I just want to watch Bound again. But like it doesn't feel like an episode of Chucky. I had fun because I mean we get Glenn and Glenda, like it's a murder mystery. Like I would watch like a Knives Out like this, you know what I mean? Like, because basically she makes it like a murder mystery, so no one will find out that she's got Nika locked up in her fucking bedroom, and it's this like elaborate ruse, and like it just gets so ridiculous and like kind of meta and pokey funny, and like again the whole series is about this, but it's like too far, I guess, is like what I'm trying to say.
I do think it sort of, I do think it kind of takes it a little too far. Like, I appreciated some of it, but some of it I'm like, and I get from like a structural situation what this is doing, because I grew up in like watching a lot of television in the late 80s, early 90s that would have like a murder mystery episode. Saved by the Bell had a murder mystery episode. Yeah. Like a lot of these would have that kind of everyone's stuck in one location, something weird's going on, it's a murder mystery, yada yada yada. And I think that this kind of plays winky fun with some of that type of episodes. It's just a little too much.
It's like too tongue-in-cheek, because I think because this whole time we've been tongue-in-cheek, but we've still been kind of like, it feels so jarring from after like season 1 and then half of season 2 to like all of a sudden play with the form like this. And again, like I like that. I like the risk. Like, I mean, again, like you're not going to find out if you don't take the risk. And I think it's really interesting. I just think it doesn't necessarily like fit as much. But hey, I still loved it. I got really fucking distracted while I was watching it. I was like, everyone just looked really hot in this episode.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It does move the plot forward a bit in the last like bit of it that I appreciated. I'm a little confused about how the arm situation is working with Nika.
Yeah, that she whipped out the arms. I was like, what in God's name? Where am I? Like, what is happening right now?
She's being turned into the Terminator, it looks like. Like, she has these, like,
so funny,
weird robotic arms where she's been nubbed off, and she's holding a gun, and she's gonna shoot. It's a little ridiculous. Kyle shows back up, so Kyle's still alive.
Glenn and Glenda are in on the ruse to stop them, I guess.
Yeah. I wasn't quite
clear
sure
on that, but yeah.
That.
And there's like Super Chucky too.
And some WWE performer shows up.
Oh, is that who that is?
On Chucky's show. Yeah, Liv Morgan.
Oops. I don't know anything about that.
She's a WWE superstar. And like it cuts to clips of her, I think, on a podcast, like actually talking about how she wants to be cast in Chucky to be killed. And so that's what happens here. She gets stabbed over and over and over by Chucky. It's I don't know. It's there. Wasn't my favorite episode.
Yeah.
Although I liked individual moments of it. I loved that everyone was like wanting to fuck Jennifer Tilly. And in love with Jennifer Tilly. I love that. I love seeing her and Gina Gershon together.
And again,
I loved
Housewives and Horror, man. It's my favorite shit. Like, it's just so funny. So,
but
yeah. So then,
so we are like at the halfway point.
Jesus, we're chugging. We're chugging through. I love, God, who's the little fucking curly redhead?
Nadine.
She's so cute.
She is. I'm afraid she's going to die.
She was like, Mary, Mother of God, Jesus, fuck. I was just like, God, she's so good. And everyone is like, oh, I love her. She's an incredible character. I love her as part of the crew. Keep her, please. She'll probably get killed, but I love her.
There's this moment when she's like figuring out that Jake and Devin are actually dating. And like, she's like, you can see it on her face. She's like, aw, and then she like smiles and it's like happiness. And I was like, yes, it's adorable. She's a great addition.
When she's talking to Lexi, Jesus, why did I forget about like her drug addiction? She's like, you're not going to be happy all the time, and I can't mean to understand that. Like, it's like a very empathetic response. And I think that this is a show that is so empathetic, which I think sounds silly on the surface, but like, I feel like Chucky, like the franchise, has always been kind of empathetic. I think that Chucky himself has moments of empathy. I'm not saying he is empathetic necessarily, but like, I think there are moments where like he does show forms of like fucked up empathy. And I think the show really plays into that in terms of like loving each other and like being kind, which I think is like really incredible for a show about a killer doll. It's got some of the best messages about empathy I've ever seen. So like, fuck yeah. I'm glad. You know what? I'm fucking glad kids are watching this shit. This is the shit that kids need to see. You know what? But like, I know that sounds silly, but like, come on. Like, if this fucking show can teach kids like, hey, here's how to like empathize with somebody and like be there for them. Like, fuck yeah. And it's a fucking killer doll who says some bad words sometimes.
And kills a lot of parents.
Yeah. Fuck them parents. But yeah, so I'm excited for actual episodes 5 and 6.
Yeah. We're on the back slope. We're almost done. We're almost wrapped up with.
It's so hard not to just keep watching them when I'm watching them. They're just like super easy to binge. They're just really good. You're like, oh cool, I have to go know what's happening next. But it has been good to kind of like space them out.
Awesome. So yeah, that's what we're talking about on next week is going to be episodes 5 and 6. And then who are we talking with on Monday, Mary Beth?
Oh my god, so we are chatting with Haley Piper, the author of No Gods for Drowning and Queen of Teeth. And she brought with her the motherfucking Blob from 1988. Fucking so incredible. I'd never seen the Blob before. Best time ever. Most fucked up movie ever. So Monday is going to be a good one, y'all. So get stoked.
One of my favorite movies ever. It typically stays in my top 4 on Letterboxd because I just love this movie so much. And I'm so happy that we got to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of good conversations about how like The Thing is incredible and The Blob is just as incredible, and sometimes the effects actually surpass The Thing, so it should be getting it needs just like so much more attention. And its final girl is the best final girl. I tweeted about her and I didn't realize, like totally forgot that she was in fucking Saw, the Saw movies later. So like fuck yeah. Shawnee Smith, man. So yeah, it's an incredible episode, so watch The Blob before that, just because why not watch the fucking Blob? It's a great fucking movie.
It's a great movie. It's so good.
But listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch or read any of the things that we talked about and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for things that we should be watching? You can let us know via email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on Twitter. I'm at MBMcAndrews.
And I'm at Gailey Dreadful.
And, of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. And if you want to help support us more, we have a Patreon. You can join Kate and Purpurina like tonight and watch us do this live. Or if you can't make it, we have videos on Fridays. And it's great.
And you can see weird cameos of my
fun.
husband poking his head through the door every once in a while. Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there. But most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children? Won't somebody please think of the children? Won't somebody please think of the children?
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is the briefing room?
It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.